Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the VoV network, where great things are always happening. So, in today's episode, we're going to get into a topic that has to do with family and relationships. And more specifically, we want to talk about how family members can get into impact, ruin, and have a big influence on your romantic relationships, your dating relationships, and even your marriages once you choose that significant other and get married. That's what our focus is going to be today. And we're going to give you some insights, some inspiration as to what that's about, and then maybe some ways so that you can start to combat, to protect your relationships, keep them strong so that family can't ruin it for you. Stick around. Let's get into it. Well, welcome back. Well, good morning, Mina. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing pretty good. My voice is a little bit delayed, so forgive me for that. I'm in a hotel,
That's
so
okay. You're on the road today. So, technology is technology, and this is live. So, that's the way it
yeah.
goes. Well, if this is your first time joining us, welcome to the VOV Network. Here is where we focus on giving you insight and inspiration to help you better cultivate, enhance, and preserve the relationship connections that you have in your life. So, today's topic, as I said in the introduction, we're going to be focusing in on family and your relationships and how sometimes certain family members kind of want to get in there and share what they think. And sometimes that can really mess up what's going on in your relationships. So just how to kind of recognize some of those things when they are happening. And then also we're going to share some ways to kind of help combat and prevent that challenge from coming in and really having an impact, putting some strain on your relationships. Mina, what did you want to add on top of that?
I'd say that sometimes it's not even so much about people interjecting into your relationship intentionally. Sometimes those family members have issues or that you have to deal with them, and that in dealing with them or with the issues that are going on, it affects your relationship.
Mm.
So yeah, we want to go into some ways to help.
Absolutely. And obviously we're talking about family, which in some ways they automatically feel entitled to have an opinion, to have something to say because it's family, right? Whether
Yes.
it can, and again, when we say family, it doesn't necessarily just mean the parent-child relationship. It could be
Right.
siblings, it could be your favorite cousin that you always like to hang out with, and how they, start to get involved in certain things. So that's what we want to dive into. We're going to start that by I actually have a list and I'm going to pull it in here. And basically, it's a list of 10 questions. And I'm just going to run through the questions and I'm going to leave them on the table. And we're not trying to answer these questions for you. It's really just some questions to help you start to think and process. Have I had that happen? Have I had that happen? Oh, yeah, I've definitely had that happen. Right.
Oh,
So, and I think that'll help you kind of understand where we're coming from a family getting into and having an impact on a relationship. So let me go ahead and pull that in now. So here it is. It says, is your family impacting your relationships? And we're going to run through these questions. So number one says, how often do members of your family often offer unsolicited advice in your relationships? Right. So that's question number one. Think about that. It happens. How frequently do members of your family criticize your partner? And I think that's a big one that really comes into play. Uh, Number three, has your family's advice or interference ever caused an argument between you and your partner? That's a big one also. Number four, do you feel like your choice of partner was influenced, I'm sorry, by what your family either says or thinks? Because that's important too. So you're trying to choose a partner based on satisfying them versus satisfying yourself. So that's another question to ask. Number five, do you or your partner ever discuss whether or not your family is causing problems within the relationship? So is that a conversation that often happens within your personal family unit with your significant other. So those are the first five. Let's move to the second five.
I want to say something about this too.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Jump in.
Sometimes we're talking about friends, even though it's saying family, because you have friends that are like family,
Hmm.
and you don't choose your family, but you choose your friends, and sometimes your friends you're so close to them that they're like family. So you can even consider them in this area that we're talking about, family impacting your
Uh,
relationship.
110%. That's absolutely true. Right. And in some instances, you might value certain friends' input more than certain
Hmm.
family members because you can
That's
be really
right.
close to certain friends, right? So,
Hmm.
again, as Mina just said, apply these questions to friends as well as family. And so, very good point. So, question number six says, do you ever make decisions that might affect your relationship based mainly on what your family members think? Right. So, should we do this? Should we go here? Should we buy this house? Whatever it might be. If is who's driving that decision? Is it just you and your significant other? Or are you making the decision based on all of the input and feedback that family and or friends might be giving you? Right. Next bullet point says, do you ever use your family's opinions as leverage in disagreements with your partner? So that's a real one that can drive a wedge into your relationship because you're basically valuing the opinion of the family member or friend over that of your partner. So that's a big one to think about. Uh, Next one on the list, number eight, says, has your partner ever complained that your family is causing problems in your relationship? Right. So if you ever heard that as a complaint. Number nine, how often do members of your family offer unsolicited parenting advice to you or your partner? And obviously that only applies to those of you out there who might have children, but they're the quote unquote grandparent now, right? So they want to tell you how to do everything, right? And can that cause a problem, or has that caused a problem in your relationships before? Is one. And then the last bullet point on here says, uh, if you were um, being really honest, would you say your family interferes in your relationship more? Your relationship is more harmful than helpful. So is it causing more harm in a relationship or more help in the relationship? That's the final question that we wanted to share. What about anything on this slide before I pull it down that you want to
I'm
address?
sure. I'm sure the intent is help. It may be harmful, but the intent is definitely help when they, well, maybe not in all situations, but family, parents, friends, they love you, but sometimes it's more about a judgment and how you should be like them.
That
So yeah,
Yeah,
it get in the
and
way.
very true, right? So that's the thing. What do we call her? I forget. Judgmental Judy is back.
Judgmental
Passing
Judy.
judgment
Judy.
is back in there, passing judgment and different things
Hmm.
on what's happening in your life and your relationships.
Hmm.
And now we want to switch and talk a little bit about ways to kind of help combat that, right?
Hmm.
Because it's after we've gone through these questions, most people out there can probably say, "Oh yeah, I can relate to this," or "Yeah, I've experienced that," right?
Hmm.
So then the question becomes, what do you do? How do you, gracefully say, you know what, butt out, right? And not have do it in an offensive way, and something that also doesn't cause necessarily conflict between you and the family member or friend, right? Because you value that relationship just as well. So let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, I know you had some ideas and some things that you kind of reviewed and talked about.
Yeah, there was an article in Essence that Essence online magazine, and there were some tips there, and so I thought they were really good tips,
Okay.
and they were about ways to keep that nosy aunt out of your business, but it's really about friends and family.
Mhm.
And remember, sometimes it's not so much also that they're judging you; they may have went certain ways in their life, and they don't want you to do what they did. So they try to give you that advice that you haven't learned yet. You haven't learned on
Mhm.
your own.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that can be part of it too.
That's true. That's true. It's
Yeah.
funny that you said the nosy ant thing because there's a Geico commercial, and every time it comes on, I crack up because the couple sitting on the couch, and they said, "We love this house, but we have an ant problem." And
Oh yeah.
basically, there's like 5 different of their aunts, the relatives, and they're all coming in complaining about this and saying, "You don't do this, and why don't you do that?" And so it's hilarious, but that's exactly what we're talking about is how
Yeah.
um, family members dig into your situation and share what they have to say. So
I love that one though. It's a cute commercial.
it is absolutely a cute commercial and a great example of what we're talking about.
So here's a few ways to protect your relationship. Leave intimacy in the bedroom.
Mm,
As women, we like to gab, right? But don't tell your friends about something that could be possibly embarrassing to your partner. Or, you know, when I was younger, older friends would always say this, don't tell somebody something, that's going to pique their interest in your man. So that's the other thing too. Don't tell them something that's going to pique their interest, you know, to get them
mhm,
interested, maybe in your partner, or even interested to get their nose into your business.
right.
So leave the intimacy in the bedroom.
Yeah.
I was
And
watching. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, that's very true about leaving intimacy in the bedroom, just because you it's kind of like opening up Pandora's box in a way of
Hmm.
giving them insight to things that they really shouldn't necessarily have insight to.
Yeah.
And this is an area that I won't say it happens with family, but definitely on the friends side of it. You
Hmm.
have to be really
Hmm.
careful how much of that you put out there.
Yeah. Yeah. True. I was watching this show. Sometimes I like to look for different things to watch, and so I like to watch African, I don't know, movies and soap opera kind of stuff. And I was watching this show. I forget the name of it last night, and it was so funny because there's a nosy grandma. Grandma was in everybody's business, and she
Mm,
smoked a pipe. So, grandma, the husband had cheated, and everybody knew because it was right there in the open. Everybody knew,
mhm,
but also grandma knew that they weren't having intimacy in the bedroom. There was none. So she was out there in front of everybody at dinner talking about it, like as they were talking about him cheating or whatever. And grandma's like, well, they're not sleeping together. So yeah, it was, yeah, you gotta keep that kind of stuff on the down
mm.
low. Work on it, of course, but everybody don't need to know that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So the
Yeah.
next one, you got anything else on that one before I go
No,
on?
no,
Yeah.
I'm leaving that one alone.
Yeah, I knew you would. Don't act off emotion. So you're in a heated disagreement with your spouse and or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Um, don't run right away and call that family member or friend and tell them what's going on or whatever, because when, and we all know this as women, we know this. I don't know about men, but as women, we know this. If you
Mhm,
tell them all that negative stuff, then when you guys make up, because most likely you're not going to end it, but when you make up, the family's not necessarily, or friends are not necessarily going to forgive them for that. So you're going to have that tension that's going to be in your relationship with your family because this person hurt you or did whatever they did to you, and you expect the family to just forget about it and forgive them. And it
mhm,
doesn't work
mhm,
that way. It doesn't always work that way.
mhm. No, that's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't always work that way. Uh,
Mhm.
it, it's almost like a landmines you're putting out there in some
Yeah.
ways. You have to be
Yeah.
very careful with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your family can be pretty upset about you going back, depending on what the person did to you, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Or even
Yep,
if they didn't do anything to you, but they're just not like them. They're judgy, and they don't like the way they are, right?
yep.
They may not forgive. They may not forgive them. They love you. Um, take it to God. That's another thing you can do. If you're a religious or spiritual person, you can take it to God, and because you can tell God anything, and He's not going to judge you. You
Mhm.
can, and He definitely is not going to tell somebody,
Right?
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
uh yeah, you can, that's, and I don't know if you are that type of person that is religious or spiritual. You can open up your heart, you can tell God everything. And when you're done, it is a certain relief you get from just getting it off your chest.
Yes.
Try it. Try it
Yes.
and see how
Yes.
that feels.
That is very true. That is
Hmm.
very, very true. You know, and the other piece of that too is it it allows you to, in some ways, like you said, get it off your chest. It's like closure, right?
Right.
It takes that stress that you had between you and your family member, and it kind of shifts it, to a different place. And so you feel like, I'll get some either
Right.
inspiration or some guidance or some signs as to,
Right.
how I should move forward with
Right.
this. So that's like step one of moving
Yeah.
down that road. So yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
And let's not forget, hey, yeah, I believe in God, you believe in God, but there's also Allah and whoever anybody else prays to. You pray to a rock. Pray to your rock. Your rock is not talking. Whatever it
Right.
is,
Hmm.
you you can do that and get it off your
Yeah,
chest. Something healing and just getting speaking it out loud, but not in front of people. Just getting it out.
that's correct.
Okay.
I could not agree more.
So the next one, avoid spats. Fighting in front of others is like an invitation, like I said earlier, into your relationship or your marriage, because
Hmm.
then everybody thinks they have an opinion about what's going on, and they're going to tell you because they love you, they want to help you, or
Hmm.
because they're just nosy and want to be in your business.
Yeah.
What you got on that?
I mean, public, like I said, public spats, I think, are the worst ones, especially in front of family and very close friends, right? Because it gives them a kind of a negative impression of
Mm-hmm.
what's going on in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
When your emotions are running high, in that exchange,
Mm-hmm.
you may say something or do something
Right.
that's really disrespectful to the partner.
Uh-huh.
So other people see that. So then they take it and run with it, right?
Okay.
Because, oh wow, I didn't realize that, he was this way or she was
Yeah.
that way. And,
Yeah.
and so it becomes this snowball effect of just how they are interpreting everything that's going
Mhm.
on with you, right?
It's
Um,
embarrassing, and oh, sorry. Go.
no,
I didn't know I
go
could go
ahead.
ahead.
No, it is embarrassing. You're right about that. And I think I can't remember which episode it was. We were having some discussions about if you have a disagreement with your significant other, and let's say they say something in a situation, you go, I kind of disagree with you on that. That you don't call them out on that in front of
Right.
that group, right?
Mm-hmm.
You wait till you're back home and say, baby, I understand your point about what you said about X, Y, or Z, but yeah, I disagree with you on that one, and have that conversation as a sidebar just between the two of you and not in front of the group. So avoiding public spats is right in that same line. You want to, as best you can, and obviously, when life is challenging, but you want to present a unified front, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the less you do that, the more opportunity you give people to get their hands in there and start,
Right.
pulling you in different directions. That's where the problems can come in.
Yeah. And also in this case, like you said, you might be heated, right? You say that wrong thing, that mean thing, that horrible thing to that person, but all those people around you, they may not forgive you for what you said. Somebody that's close to your family member might be like, hey, he's ugly to her. I don't want them together. And then you got issues. Then you got people poking in to your business.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
give me a sec here. Okay, the next one. Okay, work on how you communicate. It's easy, like Brian said last week. That was just last week. You can
Hmm.
talk, but are you communicating?
But are you
So,
communicating, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
it's easy at times to talk to friends and family and relationships about um, things that are going on, whatever, without pressure. And a lot of times they agree with you. Sometimes they don't. A real friend will tell you the truth. But um, if you're not talking to your mate, your loved one, your spouse, whatever, if you're not talking to them, what good is it?
Mhm.
I mean, you can't fix or try to make a situation better if your partner doesn't know.
Right, right. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, we talk about communication all the time, and
Hmm.
and and as we said, that's one of those things within any kind of relationship that they always say is the key, right? Is
Yeah.
being able to communicate.
Right.
But as you said, my point from last week was talking, but are you communicating? Are
Right.
you actually accomplishing something when
Mhm.
you have those conversations and coming to some kind of resolve that
Right.
both people understand and agree and can help you move forward, right?
Mhm.
So that is a big one, is the
Yeah.
communication piece of it.
Or agree to disagree, you know, but you're on that path.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So the next one, choose your complaints wisely. This is a big one for me because I'm one of those that I don't even like confrontation, but at the same time, I don't want to be a nag.
Mm,
But in this, let me tell you what the article says. No one knows your partner better than you. You know the ins and outs, the good and the bad. If all you ever do is complain to someone who doesn't who doesn't know them as well, you will negatively impact their view of your partner. So that now you're telling someone, you know, that they're this, they're that, and you're going on and on. They're thinking, ick, why is she with
mm,
him? Or why is he with her? Or why
mhm,
is she with her? You know,
mhm.
so be very aware of whether you are portraying your partner in a negative light. And it's not easy because you're getting to know people and you're getting close to them and everything about them is not going to be perfect nor you.
No, right.
It's going to be
Not
plenty
gonna
to
be
complain
perfect.
about. Oh, go ahead.
Yep. No, I was gonna say, it's not gonna be perfect.
Mm,
And then, I think with especially with relationships that last for a long time, there are different seasons, different things happen within the relationship. Because there's an ebb and a flow. It's not gonna be this constant going up. There are gonna be some challenges, some periods of challenge, and different things like that. So when those things do happen, like you said, choose wisely, what you complain about. And then if you do have legitimate complaints, take that to the partner. Don't go to someone outside of the circle and do all the complaining there, but never say anything to your partner, right? Because then what happens is Thanksgiving dinner rolls around and you're all sitting around the table, and that family member that you've been telling all this for the last 6 months lets it slip, right? Because that's just what happens, right? And then the partner's like, well, where'd that come from? I knew nothing about this, right? Because you hadn't taken the time to share it within your unit before letting it get outside the unit. So I think that's an important one too. Now, it could be different if you have talked to the partner and talked to the partner and talked to the partner and nothing's changing, right? So now that's a whole different level.
yeah,
But if
that's
that
another,
initial,
that's another
yeah,
video.
yeah, if you haven't shared it with your partner, but you're out sharing it in other places, that can be very damaging. So
Mm,
be aware of that.
yeah, even with friends. I mean, I know this is a little bit off the subject. Even with friends, if you are talking about your friends in a certain way and you got a group of people, believe me, that friend is going to find out what you're saying.
Hmm.
People aren't loyal. People just aren't loyal in that way. So that information is going to get back to them. And I can say I experienced it just this week. You're going to hear
Yeah,
about what people are saying, and you might be shocked, you might not, but it does get back.
yeah,
Okay, it's my
I
turn to
agree.
go on to the next one, right?
Yep, number 8.
Okay, seek healthy advice when you need it. So it may be too idealistic to think that you will never need another person's advice, but seeking out um, assistance when you're having these issues is wise, and it's a good thing to look for, and it helps you protect your valuable relationship, right? It's valuable
Hmm.
to you, so seek help. So
Hmm.
maybe you get counseling, maybe you go to a chaplain or a minister or religious person for help, or you go to seek actual professional help, or whatever the area is. Maybe you're having a disagreement that's about finance. Go seek a
Hmm.
financial advisor. Whatever that area is, go and get what you need.
Yep. Yep. I agree with that. And as you said, it's always best to, when you can, try to get a neutral third party, right? Someone who
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily ever have a vested interest in either side, so they can be objective and truly give you good advice and maybe share some insights to things you can't see because you're so close to it.
Right.
So that neutral third party is very important, I think.
Hmm. Get on the same page. So a lot of times, and I'm just going to say this about men, but it could be either partner because some women are very private too. But you got to know what they're comfortable with sharing with other people. So
Mm,
be sure that your partner is not sensitive about what you're sharing with close friends or family. So make sure that you have the conversation with your significant other, spouse, husband, wife, whatever, and just make sure that you have that conversation and you respect the agreement.
mm. That's a big one actually
Mhm,
because you were talking to, your first cousin who you like like a sister to you, that kind of thing maybe.
mhm,
And, you start sharing some more intimate pieces of what's happening in a relationship,
mhm.
thinking that my significant other doesn't care. But maybe they do,
Yeah.
especially if they don't know that that's the kind of
Mhm,
things that you're putting out there. Right?
mhm,
So yeah, getting on the same page is very important about what is kept in the union and held close within the relationship and what
mhm.
can be shared openly and outwardly to other for others. So
Right.
that's a big conversation and thing to make sure that you do take some time to get on the same page. Couldn't agree.
Right.
That's a big one.
So, the next one, nip things in the bud. Sometimes friends and family can pry. They'll ask you questions, and it's up to you to set the boundaries.
Mhm.
And I know sometimes I talk about my daughter, but I got to talk about her on this one because sometimes I pry, and I don't
Sometimes you cry.
realize. Yes, and I don't realize I'm prying, but she's very patient with me. She doesn't. She's not rude, but she just tells me straight up, "That's private. I don't want to talk about it," or "That's my business." I mean, I raised her to be, to speak up for herself, and she's doing it. And
Mhm.
I'm just like, oh, okay. I just wanted to know. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, if you nip that, you gotta be have that courage and nip that in the bud, because they'll just keep coming back for more if you keep giving it.
It's true. And what's that old saying? You
Mhm.
give a person an inch, they're gonna take a mile, right?
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
Right.
uh-huh.
So yeah, this is nip it in the bud is
Nip
if
it.
there's of all of these things that are on there that we've covered so far, this is probably one of the ones from a preemptive standpoint of saying, you know what, let's just stop it right here, right now. Because if you nip it right at the beginning, just saying, putting up that quote unquote brick wall, literally, then
Right.
it prevents a lot of these things from happening.
Yeah,
And so that I think it is one of the strongest things that you can do. But
yeah,
getting comfortable with that, that's
yeah.
the horse of a
Right.
whole different color, right? 'Cause certain family members, like you said, you being the mom with your daughter, but you also have started to realize, and we had this discussion in another
Yeah.
one of our episodes about you raised her to be that way, to have a voice, to be strong, but
Mhm.
now that you're actually feeling it, you're like, wait a minute.
I didn't raise you to do that.
Then you go, well, yeah, I did. So,
Yeah,
um, but it is a good thing that she has been able to establish her boundaries, and
yeah,
even with you as the
yeah.
mom to say, "You know what?
Absolutely.
You know, that's a line that, you can't come across." So
But yeah,
that's a big thing.
on one hand, you're proud of them, and on the other hand, you're like, but I still want to know.
I still want to, right?
Yeah, but proud of her. Um,
Yeah.
but you ever had friends or even family members that be all up in your business and will ask you all kinds of questions, want to know, want to know, but won't tell you anything about their information?
Yeah. Isn't that
They're
interesting?
very
Right?
private. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, how you gonna ask me all this? You want to be all up in my business, but you don't tell me anything.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Interesting.
that one is very interesting, right? Because like you said, they are just digging all the time, right?
Yeah,
But you get zero out of them, right?
yeah,
So I don't
yeah.
know if that's about
I don't
them
either.
wanting to feel like they're in the power position
Yeah,
or, mm, like, maybe
yeah,
just naturally inquisitive, but I doubt that very,
yeah.
very seriously. So, Yeah, I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah,
I have experienced that before.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one: do not vent on social media. Stay positive by keeping negative people and comments at bay. And I try to do that pretty hard, and I think people get a they think I'm whatever. They just don't understand that that's what it's about. For me, it's try to put, and I've said this before, try to put the positive out there. I don't want to bring anybody down with anything I do on social media, but this is talking about when it comes to your relationships. Just keep that there. You don't want to be fighting online um, and having the negative comments about your relationships online.
Yeah.
That's another way to get people into your business.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
big gateway into letting people into your
it
business,
really is your
is
dirty
to
laundry.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Putting it out on social media
Mhm.
is just a bad idea. I mean,
Mhm.
there's really, as you look at that, I don't think there's anything that's good that can come from that in any
Mhm.
way,
Mhm.
right?
No.
Because you open yourself up.
Mhm.
I mean, there's already enough negativity that's out there
Isn't that?
anyway, right? So it's like now you put, "Here, here's some gasoline for that fire," kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, you
Well,
just don't
so
want to do that.
yeah. So and the people, just because you have friends on social media doesn't mean they're really true friends, or even your family is not necessarily true because they're on there, you know?
Hmm.
So when you put that out there, it's like telling the wolves about your problems just for them to really get into your
Hmm.
problems. So yeah,
Hmm.
you want to keep that minimal or not at all if possible.
Yeah, I agree.
The last one, oh, you got something else? I heard you
No,
breathe like
go
you're
ahead.
about, okay. Trust your own instincts when it comes to love. Many
Hmm.
times we run to outside sources because we don't trust our own feelings or emotions. We say, "So am I right in this situation?" to a friend. And many times we are asking biased sources, right? Because they have our back no matter what sometimes. Um,
Hmm.
like I said, a true friend will tell you the straight up honest. But what this article is saying, we would find our answers and be able to resolve conflict more effectively if we trust our instincts.
Yep, I would agree with that. Your personal intuition, and again, the thing is, who's on the inside? And we talk about this all the time about, in relationship situations, you and a significant other,
Yeah.
you're the people who are actually on the inside of what's going on. Everyone else is technically outside looking in, right? So
Hmm.
they have their different perspectives and perceptions of different things. And they think they know, but maybe they really don't because they're not on the inside of it. So trust your instincts to what's really happening internally to the relationship. And then as it said several, ones back, communicate about that to the person that's inside with you. Right. Because that's what's gonna matter the most. And I think that's where you're gonna get the better result versus going outside and what do you think about this? And am I wrong? And should I have done this? And blah blah blah. Because as you said, that person probably will give you some feedback, but are they biased to you, or is it that person that going back to the beginning, I told you, girl, like, man, it wasn't good for you, because they've always had this in their mind, right? The whole
Yep.
time. So, but now you're asking them for advice. Well, what do you expect they're going to say is
Yeah.
more quote unquote venom,
Yeah.
right? To
Mhm.
help sway your position on it,
Definitely biased.
because they had some type of preconceived issue 5 years ago about the whole thing. And now it's like, well, I
Hmm.
told you, right?
Yeah.
Um, And, and now then there's always the challenging piece of this, right? Because
Hmm.
family and those closest friends, we all also say we have those people who we feel like is our confidant, right? The person that you
Hmm.
um, should be able to share with and trust and value their input and their feedback. And so we're not saying that you can't have that person, but what we are saying with all of these things, and I think with these articles and the different information they're saying is, um, you still have to make the decision for self. Take that
Hmm.
information in. uh, give it the weight and the just review as it comes in, and say, okay, yeah, I see their point, I see their perspective, I understand this, I understand that. But then you still then have to make your decision for you within the relationship, and that's the key piece of it, is to use that information, yes, to maybe clarify and get more clarity and understanding for yourself, because you get other people's perspectives. But
Mhm.
it's about your action. What actions do you take? Or do you take the action they gave you, because that's letting them get into your relationship? Or do
Yeah.
you take that, say, "Yeah, I see that perspective, but I think I
Yeah.
would prefer to do it this way or that way," because you're the one who's trying to hold things together and make that relationship work. And I think that's the key.
Yeah, they might have something that you might not consider, or, you know, as you speak on clarity, like you probably not even tuned into because
Mhm,
you're on the inside. But at the
mhm,
same time, you make the final decision because it's your relationship and you know that person well. But the
mhm,
other thing I would say is, if you have a family member and they have a volatile relationship, a bad relationship with someone, it's going to be very hard. When they say biased, it's going to be very hard if you've witnessed the situation and witnessed the negative stuff. And especially even if you've been brought into the negative stuff. But the thing is, it's going to be very hard to give them a straight up opinion about what you think they should do or how you think things should go, because you aren't able to just forget about what
yeah,
happened or
you
what's
can't detach yourself
happening.
from it. Yeah, you
You
can't, yeah,
love that person. You want the
right,
very best for that person.
mhm,
And, you know, maybe they're just by love too tied in, and need some time.
mhm,
So, what you say to them, you're not tied in. You can tell them anything. But so really, they have to do what's going to be good for them and what's going to be happiness for them, and how they're going to be able to accept and work through the situation. Maybe they want to get some help in the
yeah,
situation, and so maybe they're going to do that. But if you give them what you really feel or desire, it could be a cutoff, and if it's a cutoff, that might not work for them, right?
mhm,
So,
mhm,
because you're not tied in like they are, right? You
yeah,
don't care, right? They hurt your family member. You love your family member. So, yeah, that's
absolutely.
the true bias. Like, you are loyal to that family member, that friend, and you can't see somebody hurting them, and you just, you know, maybe you could see through that and see the other side.
Mhm,
Maybe you can't. Maybe
right,
you just, yeah, it's just
yeah,
you know. So I'm just saying that's the part of the bias that you're dealing with. So yeah.
agreed, agreed. Well, I mean, I think we've kind of come through this, and we've shared, I think, a lot of good information. Those questions in the beginning to just to have people start to think, yeah, I have, or I've been in that position. And then here's some of the ways to work your way through that, to help, protect your relationship. And as I think, as I said, the one there about just, you know, keeping them at bay. It's like,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
that's as close as you need to get into,
Yeah.
what's going on in my relationship, is probably one of the biggest keys that you want to do. Final thoughts. What do you want to say as we wrap this up today?
Yeah, as you said, setting those boundaries, you know. But sometimes you need another perspective, and you
Hmm.
might ask for it. So let them know is limited to this. I need your opinion on this. I need to talk. Can we talk
Hmm.
about this? But I still have that boundary set up. Oh, thank you. Um, but I still have this boundary, and I want to, maintain that boundary. I don't want you nipping into my business all the time, but I need your help right now. I need some feedback from
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
yeah, just kind of that's still setting a boundary. So, yeah, I think that's very important. And
It
that's
is. It is.
probably the
It is
most,
still setting a boundary. Yeah.
yeah, it's probably the most,
And It's I think, and we have an episode, if people want to go
Yes.
back, and especially on YouTube, and look at our episode about setting boundaries and how to make
Mhm.
sure you have strong, solid boundaries, and how to go about doing that is a definite key. And having boundaries set with family members and those close friends is important, and being able to comfortably stand on it, right? That's the challenge, is
Yes.
being, because we waffle a little bit, and I don't want to be that
They mean
rigid.
well.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. uh,
Mhm.
but that is life too. You need to be able to stand on your convictions, and this is let's not cross this line, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Thank you for the comment, Abby. Yeah, lots of great information. We're glad that people are finding value out in there and what we're sharing. So thank you for the comments. Uh, my
And
final thought,
The Facebook
and,
user,
and
we don't know who that is because they don't have a
yeah,
name there.
yeah,
Go
where it comes from, sometimes it doesn't show.
ahead.
Um, but the last thing I want to say from a final thought standpoint is it is your union, your relationship between you and your significant other. Um, and you have every right to protect that, whether it's family or friends, right? So that's why we wanted to bring this up and share it today. So do what you need to do to protect that union, because you've obviously chosen this person, that you're in this relationship for a reason. You have some feelings, there's some care that's there, right? And you want it to work. So don't, leave the cracks in there, start to do things that allow other people to get their hands in there and start to mess around with it, right? Because sometimes it's human nature, and especially if you do some of the things that they were talked about, like having personal spats in public, those kind of things. That's really opening the door to allow people to get in there and do some different things. So just be aware of that as you move through it, and feel free, feel comfortable that it is absolutely within your right to say, whoop, that's it. That's as far as you go. This is the boundary. Stay out of our relationship, and stand on that and be comfortable with that. So
And
that's just my final thought on it.
can I say that when we do these videos, we have a lot of subjects, and there are areas that, we may have areas that we're experts at, but that doesn't mean we actually have expertly applied them in our lives. So for me,
What?
yeah, we haven't. Come on now. So
Nope.
for me, this one was a really good one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't I don't have any relationships, but like relationships. So this is really good for me for the future.
Yeah. It's good information. It
Hmm.
is really good. And you're right. The things we share, don't we have some experience with it. It doesn't mean we've done it the right way or applied it the right way. So we're learning right along with you. And
Yeah.
as she said, these are tips and tools that we also go, huh, maybe I should have done that before. Huh, now I know.
Ooh, I did not.
Hmm, who knew?
Okay, okay,
Uh,
got to change that.
yeah. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you, everyone who did join us live, and also for those of you who shared comments. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you in the next live, which will be next week, Saturday. Wait, no, we are
Oh,
not.
it's Christmas.
It's Christmas. We're not doing one on Christmas Day.
Yeah,
So
no.
we'll have a VoV encore that comes out on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. We will have unscripted coming up for the next couple of weeks, though. So look for those. Those will be new episodes coming out on Tuesdays. And as I said, we hope you got value of what was shared today. And if you do, definitely be sure to like this video and then share. If there are others, as we always say, the key to what we're doing is sharing. That's what we're doing here, is trying to share this with you. And feel free to definitely share this along to others who who could benefit from it. We would greatly appreciate that, because it helps us and it helps them. And then over on YouTube, be sure that you subscribe, so that you get notifications when we do upload and release the new videos as they come out each week. So, I mean, that's all I have. What are your final words there for today?
I think we should play this as an encore on Christmas.
On Christmas? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I then think then if people are having trouble with it, they can show it to their spouse or partner or whatever. It will remind them, yeah, okay. Especially before they go to a lunch or a dinner.
Unified front. We're a team,
Yes,
right? Yeah,
yes.
got it, got it. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for today. Everyone, as I said, have a great holidays over the next couple of weeks. Be safe, and we look forward to seeing you in the next live, which will be happening actually in January. So
Ooh,
until then, everyone
2022.
take care, and we'll see you soon.
Aloha.